Dave Delsite. I'm doing an informational speech on Colby, Kansas. Do you remember sitting in a circle and whispering around, getting a piece of information to see how it may change over time, or from one person to another? Well, over time, the history of Colby's involvement in the Civil War has been changing in the classroom, and not as the fault as the instructor, the students. It would seem to have their own perception of their town's history and how to sway them with accuracies. Are often met by typical teenage comments of no way, The Battle of Chickamaugua was hard fought with influences from Kansas, but it was in no way part of our local history. It didn't have any historical significance at all. While understanding history and our community's role, it is important to set the record straight on historical information. Today I'd like to address direct misconceptions of the Battle of Chickamaugua and the Chatauqua tribe that was in Colby. The two identifiers are often confused because of their naming similarities. And I'll begin with Chatauqua. It should be eliminated from the Civil War altogether because it has nothing to do with the Civil War. It was instead related to travelers who went around Colby, entertained, did some poetry, stuff like that, giving shows as a form of entertainment. As I think of my son and his future education, I can't help but wonder how to help him sift through all the facts. What today's kids are talking about in the hallways is the Battle of Chickamaugua, and that the battle here is how the street was named. There's a street in Colby that's called Chickamaugua. Colby is the county seat of Thomas County. The county was named after the Rock of Chickamaugua. General H. Thomas was influential military leader during the Civil War. His connection to the Civil War comes through the governor at the time was John A. Martin, and he has a chance in fighting in a regiment that was placed under the general's care during the Civil War. Civil War veterans who had the opportunity to settle the land quickly through the Homestead Act, which is in the military service was counted towards the residency, where they could live and work in the land requirements, giving the veterans a jump start towards land ownership. Settled much of western Kansas. The appeal of Kansas doesn't stop with the promises of land. The idea that Kansas believed in maintaining their free state status was the interest of many. Our community of Colby was settled and organized by J.R. Colby. Status was of interest to many. Our community of Colby was settled and organized by Mr. Colby and the Governor John Martin, who fought in the Civil War as Kansas infantrymen, who fought in the Battle of Chickamaugua. It was there that he took command of the brigade after the death of the commander. Martin was impressed with the leadership and command of troops that General Thomas had, and when given the opportunity to bestow an honor to him, Mr. Thomas named the county after him. As was the name of several battles throughout the city of Colby, by way of the street names, we have street names Chickamaugua, Mission Ridge, Franklin, and Nashville, kind of bestowed, for honor. The name Chickamaugua is of Native American roots, stemming from Cherokee Nation, and the name of the battle provides historical references to the battle site locations. For many of the youth of Colby, Chickamaugua seems to stem from the Chickamaugua Days. It's like a festival that was hosted in Colby several years ago. They believe that there are two battles were fought in the city and have talked about the celebration to remember the Chickamaugua battle. This myth is rather confusing to dispel, given the similarities in the two names, yet they're very different historical significances. When talking with the history teacher, Mr. Gardner, and the museum representative, the concerns were equally shared that students learning and passing along misinformation as to the historical events, and the question was posed about how to turn this one into a teachable moment and how to get the right word out. I met with Chris Gardner, who contacted me recently and let me know the local plan in place is to help students out to relearn the history to make sure it was right. After discussions with several teachers in the building, there's a plan in place to kind of reenact the festivities and go with the festival. The local service center would like to host a Chatauqua festival, which I thought was kind of cool. Full of oral traditional stories, artistry, reenactments, poetry, stuff like that. And the gifted students often do most of this stuff in their gifted programs. The museum would like to host this event and make it open to schools in the area for like a field trip day. This was kind of cool to do this because I'm actually from Colby, so I didn't really know all of this stuff, and you know what they usually teach you in school is not right. So this was kind of cool to do this, and I really enjoyed it.